quite the story that it's a. That was only a 4.
What is all
that was a
this?
3.
Oh, that's the
What happened to the office that was over there?
It's over there.
They just moved the door down.
Who's this there?
This is
Mary Lou Cindy, they're still over there.
It's the same
They've just moved the door down.
Probably while you're here, I don't see why you couldn't just do a 15, 20-inch story for us. I mean, Tom could.
Hey, Ron.
Hey, how you doing?
You gonna bless me, Father?
Follows the long line of tradition in assigning the worst
there's
possible
Jewel.
person in the office for this job.
What is it? What is this contraption you're working on?
Just the computer sending black and white pictures out to the type center in the back.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the parties like Sarah
And you're on the
Carol.
front, yeah.
Well, and I raised hell with the guy last night. I said, we should not, you know, you shouldn't even have turned that goddamn picture in.
I knew you would say that.
Maxine? Okay.
Good to see all you guys.
Yeah, I knew it was. I knew it was a picture. I just
Well, I think the guy so mad at me last night, he was...
This off of the video that I have, that I took here a couple years ago.
She isn't quite as closed in over there, but then she hasn't had as much time to.
No, I know it. Yeah, she was.
Tom!
You didn't block the internet thing, did you?
Yeah, I tried to.
All right. I don't.
Fine, how are you? After you. It's not all completely back together yet.
Yeah. Hey, Fran. How you doing?
Hello, Thomas.
Hey, Rita.
Hi, Fran. Hi. I was saying hi to Fran. Oh, is that for you or her?
That's me. Yeah, what?
Hi, nice to see you.
I set up an appointment.
You got my place?
Yeah, you want to be ahead of me?
I just wanted to say.
Oh yeah, that's typical French type of Biffy, you know?
Tony, I saw you when I came in. I couldn't walk around.
Oh, I see, they're coming.
Like God does all the time.
Hey, don't knock it. Don't knock it.
I wish I had time.
Don't knock it if you ain't tried it.
Oh no, we've tried it. no doubt about that.
Hi there, do you owe me money?
No, I gave it to Regina.
Oh, okay.
I gave it to Regina. She said she'd give it to you or...
Ace Hornists, Doug Oplinger, and Arnie Rosenberg.
That was called a Fran Fair.
Encore! Encore! Encore!
Yeah, you remember her, huh?
Just told to leave me here.
Well, I suppose you're wondering why we asked you all here this afternoon. It's a test of the air conditioning system. It's not working as well as it usually does. Thank you all for coming. We knew that even though Akron said goodbye to Fran a few weeks ago, that it wouldn't be complete until her family wished her well. And so here we are. In fitting with the lightness of the occasion, we have the not ready for lunchtime players under the astute direction of Sir Douglas Oplinger will get us off onto the right move.
Well, actually, I'm going to say a few things first. So,
Okay, that's fine.
We're really not ready. No, we're not ready for lunchtime. Fran, first of all, I have to ask you to forgive me that I didn't wear my full Hudson today. I have to go over to Gazette Hall to hear a recital at 1, and my daughter, who's in the recital, asked that I not wear bib overalls and a babushka. I have to say, I have never been this nervous in my life. To talk at a going-away party for Fran Murphey is an incredible honor. And at the Civic, it was easy because the lights were up and you couldn't see anybody except the publisher out the corner of your eye, and he doesn't count. You know, we were planning to do this in the John S. Knight room, but it had to be moved because of the size of the crowd. And you know, having something like this in the John S. Knight room really would have been appropriate. Not because of John S. Knight, but because that used to be a restroom for the composing room. Okay, I'm sorry.
You have to explain it, Doug. It isn't working. It's like writing.
It's a nicer crowd.
Yeah, this is a tough crowd. Journalists are such cynics.
The heckling alley over here.
Huh?
We're the heckling alley over
Okay,
here.
Fran still has a house in Hudson, although there have been efforts.
It is not Hudson.
But you lived on a farm in Hudson, right?
At one time, you're right. I left it in 1936.
She does come back away. Grass definitely love there. When we were at the Civic, there were probably, what, 600 or 700 people there? And one of the first questions was, how many of you have been in Fran's column? And I think everybody in the audience stood up, which tells you something about...
He said there were 6 that didn't.
We did get their names and photographs, Fran. So there were some stories that were shared that evening that I really feel need to be shared again. And if you've heard this, forgive me, but for those of you who didn't, there are some wonderful stories. Michael Hawley, who was a sports reporter here at one time, recalls her first time to meet Fran. He was delivering newspapers, and this was when he was young and hoping to be a great basketball star at the same time. And it was tossing newspapers, you know, going down the street tossing newspapers, hoping to hit front porches, and it was raining. And he missed the front porch, and this car pulled up and rolled the window down, and the person said, "Put that paper on the porch, honey. I write for that newspaper." Of course, you know who it was. I remember when I first met her, I was told, I came in here to start writing up some short stories of meetings that I had covered, and I was told by Bill Hershey to sit at a particular desk. And when I sat at that desk, I didn't see any problem. I'm sitting next to about the only woman in the office, and you know, just figured, so what? But I realized that this desk was vacant for a particular reason. It was between Harry Liggett and Pat Engelhart and Fran. And if any of you recall Harry and Pat, a wonderful team of state desk reporters, Pat Engelhart was called the madman for good reason. And as I explained a few nights ago, Harry Liggett had the demeanor of a mean Fran Murphey. And once in a while, they would get into it. And I realized that hiding under the desk didn't make a difference. Fran had the same first name for both of those guys. Go to hell Harry and go to hell Pat. I went over to Fran's desk this morning just to kind of savor the atmosphere. And it was really neat. It was nice and quiet, except for a clock that was on top of the BET. Neat. I'm sorry. The journalist should be better than that, right? It was a moving experience. The clock was ticking away. It was the only sound back in the corner. Obviously, the copy desk was not working as it should be. And it reminded me of another story that Harry Liggett tells. This clock must be there because Harry Liggett is not retired. Harry was one of Fran's alarm clocks many years ago. Harry would come into work and there'd be a note there that would say, "I'm in the second floor women's restroom, come knock 3 times loudly at 6 a.m. And if Harry didn't, Harry would be, as he said, rebuked. The rebuke was putting it nicely. I remember also one of my early encounters when I was working here late nights, went out to the parking deck like at about 2 in the morning after writing stories, and went past Fran's, it was a turquoise Chevrolet, I think, or a blue Chevrolet, and I noticed that all of a sudden kind of rocked a little bit and papers shift in the back seat. And I thought, what in the world? And I went over and looked at the back seat, and there's Fran looking out from underneath the papers saying, "I'm fine, sweetheart."
I never sleep in the back seat.
As Bill Hershey says, I was the author of a column in the Beacon Journal called "Getting It Straight." And Fran is reminding me of that several times here. There was one other story I related that when I joined the Greensburg United Methodist Church, I was asked to plan a program that would bring new people into the church. So I said, well, let's have Fran Murphey come do her House presentation. And several people looked at me kind of worried about that idea. Obviously, I was pushing the envelope for a group of Methodists. But some of them knew Fran, and they said that would be fine. So she came down and gave her presentation, which is wonderful. You ever seen it? It changes all the time because it's a historical slide presentation. And about 45 minutes into this, and people are loving it, she shows a slide of a brick outhouse, which she says is, keep in mind, there's 30 United Methodists sitting there in our chapel in the slide presentation. She says, folks, this is the proverbial brick shithouse. I was asked not to plan any more programs. Okay, now.
It was the funny line.
Relatively speaking, it was funny.
He paid me to do that.
By popular demand, if you can believe this, an encore presentation of the song we sang in the Civic. Only this time better.
And the doors are locked, so nobody can get in. I have to.
We have instrumentation. Arnie, I don't know how many of you know Arnie Rosenthal. Arnie plays the trumpet especially. And Arnie, I guess the best way
You all have it.
the best way to describe him in terms of his job here. Hey. Arnie would be best described as our Cleveland Indians crowd correspondent. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Arnie Rosenberg and the Murphets. We expect you all to sing. There are words there. If you don't have a song sheet in front of you, there is one chorus that we want you all to sing. This is to the tune of the Lions speech tonight. The chorus is, "Oh, what will we do when Fran is gone?" All right?
She just changed parts.
Okay. Wait, I gotta see it.
Canterbury, you've got the spot. Okay, first of all, everyone has to sing, or you'll have to listen to us.
We're going to give you when Fran is gone twice on the trumpet, and everybody comes in.
Besides Fran Murphy. One of them happens to be the All-American Soapbox Derby. And we have Jeff Ayula and Tony DeLuca here to make a presentation of a rare object.
Oh, an oil can.
You know, that was a pretty tough act. Fran, on behalf of Jeff and myself, and of course, the board of the All-American Soap participated in this program, which are millions, as you know. We would like to present you with this token of our appreciation for your tremendous support over the years. Now, this is ordinarily a trophy that we give out to the celebrities that we bring into town. And in our hearts and in our minds, you are the biggest celebrity.
Too big. I was walking along the Soapbox Derby stands. I thought there were ramps, but there was a step. So I broke my ankle. And 20 years afterward, arthritis got in and I had to have the brace. So it's really a treasure.
There goes the insurance.
It's Murphy's.
Am I missing anybody else? Because all of you have been giving the city and me money all week long. Now, you've eaten most of it. However, rumor has it that Murphy said she would like a colored television set as a going-away gift. Knowing Murphy, us buying her one would be really silly because she might want one of those little teeny tiny ones she can plug into her car as she's driving around Amish country. So, your hard-earned payroll and retirement dollars have gone into a gift certificate and some cash so that you can buy exactly what you want. Now, the only thing we ask is that when you get it, if you get it, or wherever you want to put this, we have a little brass plaque with adhesive on it that says, "To our Fran, love, your Beacon Journal friends, 1996.
As unaccustomed as I am to public speaking. First, I want to share, because as they always say, you know, it's the team that counts, and that's true here. Past, present, and probably future. Because you guys have made it as fun for me. You also have kept me young. But I want John Oleski to stand up. John Oleski, John and I are going out the same day. The business office says we're going out June 28th, because that's our retirement then starts on July 1st, which you know is important. So John and I are going out the same day, although I'm going away and go to Charlotte to a press women's convention. But John, if you don't know, does channels and radio television. Let's see, that's a long way from when I listened to my grandfather's crystal set. But I hope him the best. One time John said, I'm going to miss you, and I just want you to know, Steve Love told me I can call him up periodically and tell him to go to hell.
I have the same first name as Harry and Pat. Except I earned it later.
Well, Pat, of course, wanted the Great Beyond, but I was lucky enough to go to the St. Patrick's Day party at the Elks Club near where he lived in Ocala, Florida, just a few months before he died. But Harry's here. Go to hell, Harry. Yeah! Where's Harry? the electric wire and washed me tight. But I would come into Akron for supplies, often wearing something like this. At that time, there was a gal in, you'll excuse me, Kathy, the morgue, the reference library, who wondered who this strange person coming in overalls was. And she had already been here quite a while, and we both ended up working for the Gray Eagle, Ray Sutliff, in the city desk. And this is Polly Papoulis, who got out of here before I did.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of other people around here, you know, composing room men that fish when they go, or have a computer and can make those marvelous signs for the Creators Club, you see, that's Bob Bell. And there are all of you. And of course, I have a lot of Chuck Ayers originals because, and I could go around.
You don't want to know.
I know the single thing that I will miss when I leave here are the people. So I've contracted to come back and write the Sunday excursion, so at least I can see a few of you. But I promise not to stop and talk too much. Because I can remember one of the old retirees, some of them would come in and they would stop you, and you're right on deadline and you're wishing they'd go away. So don't be hurt if I just say hello and, you know, wave and go past, because I don't really want to bother you. Anyway, Dustin would probably dock me. Thank you so very much, all of you. My mother said all you need to say is thank you, and my mother was probably my best journalism teacher. Somebody said, why did you call her Rudy L? And I said, everybody called her Rudy L. She was a country correspondent in the best sense. Although she only had a high school education, she knew how to write, she knew how to spell. She wasn't too good at typing in that she had the Bible system. Seek and ye shall find. Those were the days of typewriters and copy paper, and if my mother couldn't erase a word and type it over and have it look decent, she started over. And one time, state desk editor Ben James looked at me and snarled, "Why don't you write copy as good as Muriel?" That's right. I really can't say anything more than thank you. And thank you for coming.
Hold it up this way, Sarah.
Tom, I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. Oh, that's great.
John Seaton, everything.
Somebody clear. Tell me one holder though. Tell me one holder.
Elaine made that.
That's the one you're in there.
Elaine made that.
Okay. Wait a second. Hey.
anything, when it's working right, it's not working right. Just like doing your basket every day or whatever, you just pick up the story and just pull it in on there. It's real.